Here's what's coming today on the Woodworking Network podcast.
Cabinet makers work long, hard hours. And so trying to find time in your day to go to a meetup when you're putting a 10, 12-hour day in and running all over town doing installs and stuff, it can be complicated. So it's about trying to create a community and provide help to people where they can reach it.
Welcome to the fourth season of the Woodworking Network podcast and a new episode. Join us as we explore the business of woodworking, big and small, and what it takes to succeed. I'm Will Sampson. Today's episode is sponsored by the Executive Briefing Conference. Today our guest is Brian Adle, a senior software engineer for Inventables, a company that makes a range of CNC machines and accompanying software, mostly targeted at woodworking professionals just getting started with CNC. But before I get to that, I want to talk about climbing the learning curve. They say an old dog can't learn new tricks. Well, I'm just too stubborn to believe that, and I've recently embarked on a new adventure trying to bring CNC woodworking into my shop. There's a lot to learn, and how do you do it? I guess you could call my approach just diving in. The machine I'm trying to learn is the Inventables X-Carve Pro, which is a 4x4 machine that fits in my shop, but through tiling has the capability to do full 4x8 sheets. It comes with proprietary software called Easel that is supposed to be especially easy to learn. My first learning experience was assembling the machine, as the whole thing comes in a 300-pound box strapped to a pallet. I waded through step-by-step instructions and videos online to bolt it all together, square it up, and get it running. Boy, was that exciting to see it actually worked. Watching it through the spoil board was riveting entertainment, and I'm not joking. But then comes the challenge of actually trying to understand the software and start to make stuff. One of the first things I found was that, at least at the beginning, I knew too much for my own good. The software designers had constructed a system that was designed to walk you through the steps without really having to know anything. But after covering CNC manufacturing for more than 20 years, I know enough about the processes to be dangerous. The Easel software prompted me with a simple entry-level project, and I got to the point where I was supposed to push a button labeled Carve to start the manufacturing process. But wait, I hadn't put the bit in or located the XYZ axis zeros for the material I was going to cut. I was afraid to hit that carve button, fearing the machine would tear something up. I went searching online for something to tell me what I should do next. Luckily, I found another overview video from Inventables that showed me what actually happens after I click on the carve button, and the answer is it walks me through all those things I hadn't yet done. Software engineers and computer geeks always talk about things being intuitive. But I'm not sure anything really is intuitive. It must be learned somehow. Sometimes you have to unlearn what you already know. And what seems natural or intuitive for one person is certainly not for another. That's what contributes to the ongoing mystery of how we really learn all of this new technology that seems so marvelous. How we climb that learning curve everybody talks about. Sometimes it takes being brave and pushing a button you aren't sure you are really ready for yet. I marvel at how some people, especially younger people, can just muddle through the tech and figure it out. But this old dog is determined and excited to learn these new tricks and teach the big CNC in the center of my shop to do my bidding. It has to learn some things too. I want to get to our interview with Brian Adle, but first, let's pause for a word from our sponsor. It's really easy for woodworkers to stay stuck inside, focused on their shops and production, but over the last couple of years, the pandemic has forced them to be even more isolated than usual. And it's even harder if what you want is to network with the top-level executives in the industry. Where and how can you do that? The answer is the Executive Briefing Conference coming this September at the spectacular Broadmoor in Colorado Springs. This is an unparalleled opportunity to boost your business with intelligence on techniques, tools, and technology, and to feed on inspiration from real leaders in the industry. Not to mention, take in all the high altitude hospitality, beauty, and recreation offered by the Broadmoor. Learn more at executivebriefingconference.com. See you there. Now let's get to our interview with Brian Adle. Today, my guest is Brian Adle, a senior software engineer for Inventables, a company that makes a range of CNC machines and accompanying software, mostly targeted at woodworking professionals just getting started with CNC. Welcome to the Woodworking Network podcast, Brian.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
Well, that sounds great. Why don't we start by talking, what exactly is your role at Inventables as far as software development?
Yeah, so I actually started Inventables 2 years ago. I came in as a senior engineer. So senior engineers tend to be a little bit further along in your career, kind of have some architectural higher level engineering experience. So I was brought in for that. And I've worked on all kinds of stuff, everything from our third-party integrations to design tools, and now on our cabinet software as well. I also work as the team lead for the easel team. So I work with our product team to build out our roadmap and what upcoming features we're going to work on. And I've also recently moved into a management role. And so I'm working directly with all of our engineers on the team, kind of doing career guidance and stuff like that as well.
Cool. And just so everybody understands who may not be familiar, Easel is Inventables' proprietary CAD/CAM software, correct?
That's right. It is a web-based CAD/CAM and machine control software. So it's everything in a single package. Our CNC machines that we sell all use Gerbil as control software. And so we're able to control it through a web interface. And we also can serve other CNC machines through our web interface that are also Gerbil controlled.
That sounds great. You know, I remember one of the very first CNC woodworking shops I visited, which was decades ago. And I asked the lead guy that was involved with getting their automation up and running, you know, what kind of experience he had with computers before they brought in the CNC. And he said, the only mouse I've ever had in my hand was in a trap. So when you're developing software for CNC, knowing that lots of your target users are new to computer controlled woodworking, what are your goals with the software? What do you do differently than if you were writing software for a more experienced audience?
Yeah, absolutely. The things that we're trying to do is bring expertise to those new users, answer questions for them and not have to make them answer all the questions. I mean, one of the things that's so confusing about CNC, to me, CNC woodwork, computer working is the feeds and speeds and trying to figure out like how to get good cuts and what material I'm using, how deep can I cut, will my bit break, all of those decisions. And one of the things that Easel did right out of the box was, given material and bit combinations, we'll make those decisions for you. We'll make the best feed and speed decisions based on what we know, and kind of take some of that mystery away from you. And so what we're trying to do is answer questions before you ask them. If we can make a best guess on some of these things, we'll make those decisions, kind of to taking away the learning curve. So like, you don't have to know everything to get started. You can learn things as you go. You can improve. Like maybe you learn like, oh, my machine runs a little bit better at this feed rate or this RPM, but we give you a good base to start with.
That's really great, because I've done a number of workshops related to CNC, and whenever we have a tooling expert speaking and they talk about feed and speed rates, I am fascinated and somewhat flabbergasted by how little folks understand about those relationships. And it's definitely, even experienced users, it's
absolutely,
and that's not just critical to your success.
Yeah, you can't just pull one dial without affecting something else. It all kind of works together. And that's something that can take some time to learn. I've seen folks who are operating a CNC machine who can just from hearing alone can go, I think the RPM's too high or too low. And they'll walk over and make a tweak, and then the sound of the machine changes. And that's something that takes years of experience and a lot of time using the machine. And that fear of like, am I going to break it? Is it going to work? The goal is to try and take those things away and give people confidence that they will have good results from the beginning, and they can iterate and get them better and better. But the confidence to start and get good results is what we're looking for.
Well, I think too that there's part of the problem is that there's some counterintuitive things with using a CNC versus some of the manual processes that folks have been used to before they went to CNC. You know, when folks hear that, you know, maybe you need a faster speed to have a better cut.
Yep.
They don't understand that. You know, they're used to, I got to slow down if I'm not getting the results I want.
That's exactly right. You go too slow, you can get burning from the bit spending too much time next to the material. You go too fast and you actually aren't getting enough exposure to the cutting edges. And so you'll skip and chip through the wood. So it's definitely about getting it kind of blended in. I think that there's a little bit of science to it, but there's also a little bit of art of like understanding your machine, the material, how dry is it, there's a lot of factors that affect those kinds of things.
Now, software companies are always bandying about terms like user-friendly and intuitive and that sort of thing. What makes software easy to use and learn?
From my experience, it's building the right thing for users. It's not just building what you think they want, but it's building the right thing for them. I took a lot of user experience classes in college now 20 years ago, and one of the things that they talk about is the first rule is know your user, because you are not them. Like I'm not the customer. I need to know them and understand them. And so the way Inventables has approached the cabinet making software is that we have put problems first before solutions. So we went out and we spoke to cabinet makers of various sizes, various places in their career to understand what are the problems, where are the stress points, where is the friction, what works easy, what do you need help with, like what does your workflow look like? We sent every member of our company, everybody from our customer service people to engineers to our product folks, everybody got to go to wood shops and talk to cabinet makers and talk to them in their shops, see where they're working, see how their day flows. And then we brought that back and we talked about those problems, and we kind of learned what we brought all of our learnings and discussed it. And then we went back out and we took what we had learned to cabinet makers and discussed it and let them tell us, oh, well, you kind of got this right, you got this wrong. And then we took that back and we iterated on it. We kind of consider our working process to be a cycle, but we don't end up back to where we started. It's more like a spiral staircase. We just kind of make progress as we go.
That's interesting, because, you know, I think software of all kinds seems to be like a moving target. It's constantly changing and being updated. How do you know when a certain version is ready for release?
Oh man, that is a tough question. Sometimes you release a version out there and it's like letting your kid go out into the wild for the first time. You don't know how people are going to react and you're kind of nervous about it. And I think the way you gain confidence in releasing it is knowing that you're building the right thing, understanding those problems, understanding the user. It gives you the confidence. We break our work up into 6-week blocks. And so we set goals for those 6 weeks, and we set measurable goals. We set them based on feedback from users. And then we spend 6 weeks working towards those goals. And in our last 6-week block, we interviewed, I think it was like 5 or 6 cabinet makers who had been using our software, and asked them, what are your top 5 or 6 things that are missing? And that's what we did, is we built the things that were missing. And so when we released it, we knew that it was the right thing because we had spoken to the people who'd used the software, we had prioritized their needs, and we were releasing what they wanted and what they needed. And the confidence that gives you while you're building stuff, that you're building the right thing, you're solving the right problems, is it's pretty amazing.
That's cool. Well, speaking of moving targets, I have to sort of take a different tack here for a second. I read on your LinkedIn page that you've been involved in roller derby as both a coach and a referee. Does that experience somehow inform the way you approach software?
Well, I mean, it definitely keeps. So that's a funny thing. Yeah, I got into roller derby back in like the 2008, 2009 and refereed for years while my wife played. And then I founded Atlanta Men's Roller Derby. And I'd say if anything, what it's done is it's taught me to work in a team and be a leader and kind of bring folks together from different backgrounds. And I certainly bring that to my like day-to-day management role at Inventables. Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of one of those things of just like getting out there and learning and making life an adventure, I guess.
I coached one of my daughter's middle school basketball teams for a couple of years, and I can't imagine doing roller derby.
Yeah, I mean, it is a full contact sport on roller skates. I mean, excitement is guaranteed essentially with that formula. Um, yeah, it was something I did for years. I recently retired because I just started noticing that the recovery from games and practices was taking longer and longer as I got older.
Yeah, it's definitely a injury-prone sport.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, I have a selfish question here. I'm an old dog who thinks I can still learn some new tricks.
Absolutely.
I'm about to dive into easel and start working with an X-Carve Pro CNC machine. When people are new to the software, what's the best way for them to learn it?
You know that I'm a big fan of just exploration. Come up with an idea, come up with a problem. Is there something in your shop that you need solved? Is there a storage solution you need, or all your bits kind of sitting around in a mess? Is there a need? I like to take a need and then try to solve it. So that's how I tend to learn them. Other great ways is Inventables provides a huge project library on our website, so you don't have to start from scratch. You can go find an existing project and build it, see how users see how whoever built that project approach it, learn some lessons from it, and kind of tweak it. It kind of takes away that fear of just the blank slate. I think that's a big fear for a lot of people. You start a new project and it's just blank, and what do I do? Where do I start? So starting from a project can help for that. So either starting from a template or starting with a problem is a good way to start.
Any specific tips or tricks for speeding up the learning curve?
We have an amazing community out there. There's a huge community of people who make videos and also provide support on both our forum and our Facebook groups. That was one of the first things I did when I first started working in Inventables, is I sought out as many of our user groups as possible and joined them, because I had never used a CNC machine before. I didn't know what I was doing. And so I learned a lot of those lessons. We've got some pretty incredible people in our community. And I think that that's one of the best things about the Inventables and easel community is so many people are new to CNC. So many people like any problem you've had, somebody has had before. You're not the first person to have it. So reaching out to those communities and seeing if you can find support is a pretty great way to do it.
Yeah, I think historically in our industry, not just with CNC, but all problems in general, that any kind of networking and forum-based kind of education seems to help everybody. The biggest problem I see across our industry is that folks are so shop-based that they don't get out of their shops and they don't network. At least the online alternatives, they don't have to leave their shop, but they can still network with other people if they will not be embarrassed to say what their issue is.
Yeah, I mean, woodworker or cabinet makers work long, hard hours. And so trying to find time in your day to go to a meetup when you're putting a 10, 12-hour day in and running all over town doing installs and stuff, it can be complicated. So it's about trying to create a community and provide help to people where they can reach it.
Now, there seems to be a growing trend toward web-based software. Why is that, and what are the benefits and challenges of software that requires internet connectivity?
Yeah, so some of the benefits of it are our ability to roll out changes and add new functionality on the fly. So I would say in any given week, we probably roll out three to five functionality, like pieces of functionality to our website a week. It could be a bug fix, it could be something new that's working, or just a slight iteration on the workflow, but we're able to make changes to it and improve it on the fly without having to have people download an update and go through the install process. I mean, I think if you go to most people's computer, you'll find a line of like 1,000 installs waiting or updates waiting to install. And this helps us keep everything up to date, live. It's definitely something that's a push on the industry. You see a lot of this. You see a lot of software moving to the internet. I mean, like you don't like even like Microsoft Word and Excel. Those used to be installed apps, and now everything's on the web. You've got Microsoft Documents on the web. You've got Google Docs on the web. It's about being able to access things anywhere and have good backup and data retention as well.
Yeah, there's definitely it's the days of are you on version X.1 or whatever it is.
Yeah,
those seem to have gone away.
Yeah, it's definitely going away. I mean, it's a tough new world because people used to be able to download something and feel like you really owned it, and now with web-based software, it doesn't always feel that way, but there are benefits that come with like security updates and maintainability that can roll out constantly for sure.
Now, I know Inventables has just announced the beta version of its new easel software for cabinet making. And a lot of our audience is very interested in that. What can you tell us about that product? And you earlier were mentioning that you had actually interacted with a lot of cabinet shops to develop it. Tell us a little bit more about the process and what's in it and what it does.
Yeah, absolutely. So at Inventables, our vision as a company, I'll start with that, is to ignite a new product revolution by bringing manufacturing capability into the hands of millions of people. So we took a look at we'd been in our, we had an easel out for 4 or 5 or for a while now, and our user base there was primarily around sign makers and home decor and things like that. And so we started to try and think about how could we expand our reach? How could we bring more manufacturing capability to more woodworkers? And we started looking, and we saw in the market, with interest rates, how they're changing, and who knows what's going on with all of that. We felt that there was an opportunity to look at cabinet making and the kind of home remodeling space. And so our first beachhead into that was to get to know the cabinet maker, get to know their workflow and stuff like that. So we did go out and we went into shops and we interviewed people. We talked to them about how do they gather requirements from the homeowner, how do they handle iterations on designs, how is the install handled, how is purchasing and everything like that, and basically talk through all of those aspects of the cabinet making process. And then we went back and we're like, okay, so where do we start? So we started with, let's make it where you can design a single box, a single carcass easily. And so that was where we started. And so we started building the ability to create a single box. And then from that, it was like, okay, how do I move from one box to multiple boxes so I can have a wall of cabinets? And how do I make decisions at a high level so that I can apply those to all of the cabinets? If I change style, if I change construction methods, how do I make sure that that goes to the whole kitchen? And then our next step was, okay, if we expand from multiple, how do we build out a whole room? And that's where we are right now. So we have the ability to design base and wall cabinets. We've got 3 or 4 templates in there right now, drawers and doors, multiple drawers, multiple doors. And so our goal is to just keep adding to that library of available cabinets. So it's not fully fleshed out now, but the goal is that it will expand over time. So like it's a matter of adding functionality, getting feedback, improving it, adding functionality, getting feedback, and improving it. So right now you can, with Easel Cabinet Maker, you can go in, you can design a kitchen, you can design multiple upper and lower cabinets, and then send that to Easel, and we will nest all of those pieces as efficiently as possible across multiple work pieces, so across multiple 4x4 or 4x8 sheets of plywood. And then you can cut them out and everything is handled right within the Easel interface.
That's neat. Now, a lot of software companies in the professional cabinet manufacturing arena have always had a challenge because it seems every manufacturer wants to make their product differently, different joinery, or, we do these kind of toe kicks or whatever it is. How did you address that with the easel cabinet making software?
So our goal to start off with is to try and get as much of the market as possible without having to go for everything. So I think if we chase completion, we would not be able to bring a product to market. So one of the things that we did is we talked to cabinet makers about what's the most common thing you're doing right now, what's the most frequent install, and so we targeted that first. What were the most frequently used styles and construction techniques, and then we also had to prioritize construction techniques that were easy to create using a CNC machine. It's fairly difficult to do dovetails and to do things like that for drawer construction. So you have to think about, like, okay, if I want to cut a bunch of rabbets on this drawer so that it'll assemble, I need to make sure that they're all coming from the same side, so I don't have to do flip milling. And so a lot of those decisions come from ease of cutting and ease of assembly, along with what we're hearing from cabinet makers as far as what is the most common kind of construction they're doing.
That sounds great. Now, so does this have capacity for both frameless and face frame construction?
Right now we have frameless only, and in our next 6 week, we're going to be adding face frame and inset, and along with inset doors for cabinets.
Oh, that's cool. So you're not just building boxes, you have capacity in there to build drawers and doors as well as the cabinet boxes?
That's absolutely right. We've got for upper cabinets, we have just doors. You can do single door, double door. You can choose the swing side. For lower cabinets, we've got just doors, drawer over door, and multi-drawer. You can configure the number of drawers, the height of each drawer. You can configure the top drawer height across the whole kitchen, so you can get a common sight line across all of those drawers. We even have the ability, for it to, while you're building out the box and choosing the drawers, we're starting to integrate some hardware choices as well. So as you change the size of the box, we're aware of what size drawer slides work with that. And so we're able to calculate where the holes are for the drawers and go ahead and pre-drill all of those for the drawer slides. And it's coming along. Like it's definitely not 100%, but that's why we're still in a beta,
Right. No, I understand. And there are other programs out there too that, in fact, before CNC manufacturing was as widely available as it is now, a lot of the early cabinet software programs were focused on designing and creating cut lists and interfacing with the customer too, so that they had the capability to do renderings and things like that. Is there any that capability of in either estimating or sales presentation that you're going to build into easel cabinet making, or is it going to be just focused on the manufacturing side? Absolutely.
Those are actually two of the major pain points that we learned from cabinet makers. It was the bill of materials required to build out the kitchen, getting accurate estimates so that you don't have to go back and order 2 more drawer slides because you miscounted, or another sheet of plywood that maybe it's going to take 2 weeks to get delivered because of the laminate that's on it. After designing the kitchen, it will tell you, we can give you an estimate of how many sheets of plywood you'll need. And in the future, we're going to add totals for pulls, hinges, and drawer slides. Long term, we'd love to have it integrated directly in the app. One click, order what you need for the project. That functionality is not there yet, but that's kind of a long-term vision of ours, is that you could design a kitchen, order your parts and pieces for it, and track it all in one interface. And then the other thing we have is you can see a 3D rendering of the whole kitchen. You can view a single cabinet at a time, or you can view the whole kitchen. And a new piece of functionality that we just rolled out a couple of weeks ago is a homeowner view or a presentation view where you can share a view of the kitchen fully rendered where they can fly around it, change their view and see how it'll look, and even communicate directly with the cabinet maker. We've got a built-in chat, so if the color's not right, if we want to switch this drawer to, or this box from a drawer over door to 3 drawers or something like that, there's communication built into it, and it keeps that right with the project. So it's not in that text message or that email that you forgot about or that sticky note that you wrote down when you were talking to them. It's all in one place. So it's easy to kind of keep all of your notes and everything into one place. And we're looking in the next 6 weeks, we're looking to add the ability for homeowners to actually go in and alter some of the look and feel of the kitchen. So instead of having to get the cabinet maker to change the color or the material, the homeowner could take a look and say, like, oh, what if we made it light gray? What if it was black? What if we went with a natural wood finish? What if we used a different laminate? So that's our long-term goal, is that the homeowner can kind of experiment and try to make some of those decisions, and then the cabinet maker can finalize those with them through the app.
Yeah, the finalizing is going to be the key thing. You got to get these people to stop, and make a decision.
Because, absolutely.
Once you've ordered the stuff, you don't want to have to change it again. So that's important. And I like the idea, though, of having a running track of the conversation in one place. That sounds like a really good thing. Well,
yeah,
go ahead.
If you start to expand it out, you can kind of imagine that if I'm building these cabinets in Easel Cabinet Maker and I'm communicating with my homeowners, and I can also now start to build out in long term, you could imagine building out a portfolio of your projects. You could both see, virtual of what the kitchen, how it was designed, and then even upload photographs so you can see the final results. And Easel Cabinet Maker could be a place to build out a portfolio where you could share the projects that you're proud of and even use it to kind of drum up new business. It's somebody could share the link, check out this kitchen that Steve helped make me, and now Steve's going to help get business from other people that have seen what he's built. So that's our goal, is that it can be a platform for both creation, but also iteration and feedback, and help expand your business as well.
Well, that sounds great. I'm anxious to roll up my sleeves and get in and try it all out. And I'm sure we'll be talking with you more about that as time goes on and about the changes. But I think this has been great. It's a good start to the software discussion, and hope to hear more from you in the future.
Thank you very much. And I encourage folks, if you hear this podcast and you're interested in Inventable's cabinet maker software, reach out to us. We have an open beta. I can get you the link for the sign up form, and maybe we can attach it to the podcast. We're looking to bring on more folks and to learn as much as we can and keep building the best cabinet software we can.
Sounds great, Brian. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time.
That's it for today. If you're looking for more of our podcasts, you can find all of them at woodworkingnetwork.com/podcasts and in popular podcast channels. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Thanks again to today's sponsor, the Executive Briefing Conference. If you have a comment or topic you'd like us to explore, contact me at will.sampson@woodworkingnetwork.com. Thanks for listening.